welcome to the Fins Talk Sports Network Miami Dolphins postgame show. I'm your host, Bobby Melendez, joined by Evan Posner, Justin JPF Scout, and Huddle Up and Wait co-host Dave Stager. I'm going to start with Dave since he's the unbiased. He's a Packers fan, but he's on here. Dave, first off, because I know if I ask these other guys, I know what they're going to say first, but I want to wait on that.
Teddy's fault. It's all Teddy's fault.
Dave, how you feeling tonight, brother?
You know what? I'm feeling good, but I'm got to watch football, of course, Thursday Night Football. But first of all, I want to say I'm hoping Tua is okay. I know they said he's okay, discharged from the hospital soon, but man, it was a nasty hit, and I wanted to put that first and foremost because human life is more important than football. And
absolutely,
I'm rooting for Tua. He's solid, and I always liked him as a person off the field.
Absolutely. Justin, obviously, Miami Falls 27-15. We talked about this. The heart said Miami's going to win. We were excited at 3-0 start. Brain said you and I said it. You said it. I said it. Our brain said this could be a loss just because of how tough that Buffalo game was. And it kind of looked like that. For me, from start to finish, it just didn't look. It looked like the communication was off. It didn't look like there was chances there. I mean, missed field goals, missed opportunities, missed communication. But overall, I know what you're talking about. First off, how are you feeling? And then as a Dolphin fan and watching this football game, how do you feel about it?
Oh, man. Honestly, I was on the edge of my seat most of the night. And obviously, once Tua got hurt, I was super concerned for Tua, super concerned for his safety, his player safety, just him as a person. I was concerned. Football aside, I kind of lost my mind for a minute. I had to kind of put down my phone and just gather my thoughts a little bit and told myself if there was any way we are going to win this game, it would be literally a miracle. Going into the game, first of all, I knew we were going to need I thought we needed a defensive touchdown to win the game. That didn't end up happening in the game. I'm pissed off, obviously. I wanted to win. I wanted to go undefeated. That ain't going to happen. So we need to, get back to reality here. Honestly, we played really well down the stretch. I don't think we have anything to be ashamed of, nothing to hang our heads about. We played well. The defense played well and did their thing. Honestly, we lost on a handful of plays. If Xavier Howard doesn't get stretched out right there by Higgins and beat over the top, we might be talking a little bit differently here. We don't know. Oh, obviously, and then Teddy didn't throw that pick. I don't know what the hell he's seen right there when he threw that. Maybe he got rushed. I don't know what the fuck you throwing that for. Excuse my language. With that right there, I was like, damn it, man. That's just like you make a great play scrambling out of the pocket right there. Like that one play came up and then he scrambled out of the pocket. I was like, oh, yeah, it's a great play, man. I'm going to remember that if we win the game. Then he turns around and throws a dud. And, I mean, that's this Teddy right there. I'm sure Evan will agree with me with that. But I don't think we have anything to be ashamed on. We'd lost the game on a handful of plays. If you look back, the third down efficiency was garbage, 2 of 10. You're 2 of 10, so you're 20% on third down. Well, that ain't going to get it done. Even if Tua was in there and you did 20%, I'd be pretty pissed with that. And I know Brett was all like, oh, the offensive line still sucks. I've seen him posting on Twitter, and we can't run the ball and all that. I disagree. I just think that it's a game that we were – I don't know, man. We just didn't have it tonight or something like that. Maybe we're a step slow, but – man, we were in the ball game. We were literally in the ball game down the stretch. We could have won. We could have won the ball game. We were down 15 to 20 points. I was like, all you need is a touchdown here, and you can win the game. And like we started to run the ball to that end drive there, where I'm pretty sure you threw the pick. But I mean, man, I don't know. We just kind of fell off late when I was hoping we would come through late. You know what I mean? So it's a big disappointment, but we're going to move on. We're going to rest. We're going to get our 11 days or 10 days of rest or whatever it is, regroup. And honestly, they need to get some people in to try out for a couple of different positions, if you want my honest opinion.
Evan?
What would you like to know? Frame the question. I'm going to go on a tangent.
Yeah, go for it.
Bring it, bro.
Okay.
Hold on, let me get my popcorn. Hold on.
Okay. I'll start off with. Let me start off not with the Dolphins.
Oh shit!
I'm not going to start off with the Dolphins first. I'm going to start off with Amazon Prime.
Oh, they
I've
suck.
never seen a more clickbait network in my life.
Right.
The fact that they kept on showing the hit that took place on Sunday, they kept on showing the hit that took place tonight.
I
Not
know.
talking about how gruesome it was, but just talking about it. It was, they should be ashamed of themselves. Tua's family was there tonight. Goodell was there tonight. The way that was handled was awful. The way that the focus of the halftime show, awful. I think they should be ashamed of themselves. The Bengals fans, they look like they just fucking won the Super Bowl. I know how important it was to win this game, but the fact that they be proud of the fact that you weren't facing our top cornerback in the second half.
No shit.
Be proud that you weren't facing our number one quarterback in the second for half the game. Just be proud of yourself that you just won that game. There was just not a lot of class there by that team. I just was not impressed. Like when I start to say that I have less respect for the Bengals than I do for the Jets or the Patriots, that's saying a lot from me. In terms of the actual raw emotion of the game, Tua leaving the game, you might disagree with me, but there's a sense that we had in the first three games that we knew there was a letdown. You know how I feel about Teddy Bridgewater. He is the typical game manager who will easily throw a pick like a Fitzpatrick, like a Jacoby Brissett. And for me, when that happened, he had a lead, and instead of making smart throws, unfortunately, McDaniel, who's a very smart coach, I think realized, oh crap, I have Teddy Bridgewater in there. If I'm conservative, he won't lose us the game. And you may not think he lost us the game, but I think the defense had done enough in the goal line stances. Unfortunately, Howard went out, but I believe that unfortunately, we had a 15-14 lead, and we should have been able to sustain that. The defense did what they had to. They blew it in the end, but that interception took the wind out of their sails. I don't know if it was Gesicki. I don't know what it was. That was an awful throw because he literally threw the ball in less than 1 second. If you go count how long he had plenty of time to throw that ball. He whipped that ball. Gesicki hadn't even turned his head yet, and he assumed in double coverage that he was going to catch that ball. I do not know what he was thinking on that play. He could have looked at a second or third read. So, in my opinion, the game was lost on that play because the wind was out of their sails. Because you want to know what? The star of that game in the actual game, and I'll get to Tua in a minute, was Landon Roberts. What he did on those two goal line stances was incredible. I want to give him a shout out if we look at the game. Now, we talk about Tua, who I've been a huge supporter of. On that play, I feel absolutely awful for him. He held on to the ball too long, but way too long. But that's not the reason why he got tackled. The offensive line tonight, at different moments, literally, Connor Williams was chasing that player. They were getting mauled. Greg Little, the time of the offensive line is when Teron Armstead is being pushed into the quarterback. When Greg Little is being completely mauled by an edge rusher. The way they played tonight, they weren't protecting their quarterback, and unfortunately. That was a key reason why we lost. The difference was that we had a quarterback who found ways, even with this offensive line. I think he was hiding a lot of their warts. What I noticed in tonight's game is that if we look at Tua's performance in the first three games, he hit, and what he did last year, he hit a lot of the offensive line's warts with his. They claim he doesn't have athleticism. So my overall emotion of this game, I couldn't care less if we win or lost in the end, because all I care about is that Tua has a speedy recovery, the fact that he's going to fly back with the team, and the fact that
that's positive.
When I saw his hands fencing like that, and I know what it's like to have a concussion, it scared me to death there. And I was at a hockey game, which is just as a violent sport, and I didn't miss a second of that game. I was watching the game, and I was looking at the phone. People weren't watching the game. I go, this is more important. You know what my fandom is of the Dolphins and how much I care about this team and how much I care about this community. And for me, I don't care about the wins. I care about the person. I care about the team. Unfortunately, there are certain players who rose to the occasion, and there are some people who didn't. So when Tua got hurt, a lot of players in that locker room, let's win. I'm sure we're thinking that let's win this for Tua. Howard did everything he could. He was injured. Waddle was not looked at. He was injured. But the players who had the chance, Sanders fell off a cliff. I don't know what happened to him after that. I do not know what happened to the Bridgewater. I don't know what was going on with him, because on one of those drives when he was throwing 3 interceptions, I literally felt like I was reliving Jacoby Brissett last year. Every throw, I was literally holding my breath. It wasn't an enjoyable. For me, that was my biggest frustration, is that they had a chance to win, and the moment it reminded me of the old Dolphins. Like they literally say, like almost famous, like same old Dolphins, where you have all this talent around you, but you don't have the key cog to be able to distribute that. And I want Tua to do everything he can to get healthy. But if Teddy Bridgewater, if we're talking about purely about not football, we're talking purely about football. If Teddy Bridgewater is our quarterback for the next 3 weeks, better have a new game plan because you're not going to be able to use like the tools of Waddle, Hill, Gesicki, everyone with Teddy Bridgewater. I'm sorry. Teddy Bridgewater is not the answer to us winning football games.
Just real quick on that last play too, that he throws the interception you're talking about, and you're like, we don't know whether it was him. I honestly, it reminded me a real similar and very faintly of the preseason play where Tua whipped it to him over the middle too, like that, and he didn't get his head back around in time. You guys remember that play against the Eagles? Yeah. And he dropped it. And remember that play? Well, that play looked a lot similar to that play, but the placement of the ball where Teddy threw it was behind him, so it was a terrible pass no matter what. It wasn't going to be completed no matter what.
I know, but let me just also add one thing. There was people have always said that the one day last year we thought that offensive line. Because let's talk about pure football and the things we talked about during the year. We always thought that the offensive line was going to get Tua or a quarterback there killed. And tonight they showed they can literally get a person killed. And I think Armstead needs these 10 days off more than any offensive lineman because it was his worst game of the year by a mile. He was getting mauled. Little was getting mauled.
You know, I
was surprised, Bobby and Dave, and maybe you can think about this. We thought that after 90 plays, the defense would be gassed. The offensive line, which was hardly on the field, looked gassed.
Yeah.
That was my weirdest oxymoron, is that the offensive line looked more gassed than the defensive line today. But there were players like Melvin Ingram tonight that missed what made me nervous today. When he missed that tackle, I go, same old Dolphins. But by the way, you talked about also the coaching staff, Bobby, today. Boyer played soft coverage. McDaniel also. I don't think McDaniel did. I think we were very high on the coaching staff. He did not adjust well to having Teddy in there versus Tua, and you saw that in his play calling because you saw on second down the amount of running plays he was running where they were literally Mostert would go for a 15-yard run. Next thing you know, he's doing the same dinky play where you knew right away by the time Mostert had the ball, the defender was literally on him. So for me overall, prayers for Tua. The best news of the night that we should all be focusing on is the fact that he has his extremities, the fact he doesn't have to spend the night in the hospital, the fact he's able to go back with his team. I think the Dolphins could be in a little bit of trouble. I don't know who the neurologist who passed him. Maybe it was his back, but like you were talking to me on the phone earlier. His back, his spine, and his back is connected to his brain. Who knows? We're not experts. We're not neurologists. But at the same time, something funky is going on here. And then also the hit, the fact that their flag wasn't thrown on that hit. Goodell has to explain himself because they have to figure out what they're going to do with these horse collars and these hits. They're saying they're looking there to protect the quarterback. That wasn't protecting the quarterback. Because if at the moment he was being tackled and wrapped around, they should have blown the whistle. They didn't blow the whistle until he was on the ground. So that's my rant for now.
That's a lot to digest, right?
Yeah. No, the Dolphins from the start of this football game with Tua and Teddy eventually were playing not to lose. You keep hammering down on Teddy's interception, which was a miscommunication. Yes, you did. That was a miscommunication.
Three interceptions almost on one drive.
No, stop. One interception, because if Tua's throwing almost 3 interceptions, you talk about one interception, which Tua did throw an interception, and it was 100% a bad decision interception. You didn't talk about it though. You didn't talk about it though. You were talking about Teddy.
I'm talking about his health because his health is more important.
I listened to you. I'm talking. Tua threw an ugly interception. The Dolphins were playing from start to finish like that, not to lose. They were playing like a team that played their asses off on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills and won by mere 5-10 seconds. This whole team did not look ready to go from start to finish. When Tua went down, no matter what anybody believes about Tua, if the franchise quarterback, whatever, after Tua went down that way in that situation, that's scary. That deflates a football team. You could blame Teddy all you want. The Dolphins were going to probably lose this football game no matter who was the quarterback because Tua – and let me tell you something about the offensive line. The offensive line looked worse with Teddy Bridgewater in there than they did with Tua. That was Tua's fault, was his injury. And thank God he's doing okay, but he held the ball way too long and should have threw it away. Armstead looked lost when he became the blind side tackle. He got pushed back by Hubbard. Same thing with Greg Little at that last play. Bridgewater, actually – 14 of 23, 193 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 84 rating, 84.1 passer rating. If Tua had those numbers, you wouldn't be saying anything right now. You'd be
Yes, I
finding
would.
another reason why.
No, I'll tell you have a bad game.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't.
100%.
Fact of the matter is,
100%.
the fact of the matter is, you were blaming Teddy, but this was an all-around team loss, and
I said Teddy.
that's okay. That coach, it's not being a Tua hater because I've been very supportive of Tua in regards of that. I say that he can be the franchise guy, but today he wasn't playing like it. And none, the whole team wasn't, Kevin. So you could put your blinders on and just lie because you want to be fantasized that it's Russell Wilson, but nobody was playing great.
Elijah Roberts.
Well, they didn't do enough to win the game, and he didn't need to. The fact of the matter is, the run game, 69 yards from Raheem Mostert, which was welcoming to see. That was the type of football game this was. And Justin talked about this in the preview, and we discussed it earlier in the week, that even though our hearts say, because we're so excited about this 3-0 run, et cetera, that this was going to be a tough game. Our heads would say, man, I don't know if you could say this is going to be a win. And that's exactly how it played out. I mean, until the very end. I don't blame Teddy for this loss. I think you're absolutely right. I think Mike McDaniel and the coaching staff did not call a good game when Tua became out. I think that their playbook got hindered. But to say that, which you said before the show, that the Dolphins would have won this football game with Tua at quarterback, no. The way the team was playing, I can't see this. The miscommunication, Jalen Waddle wasn't used. You can all you want. Miscommunication.
Look at the second half, Bobby. Look at the second half of every game. Tua's had a couple of bad first halves. The team is completely different with him in the second half. He's a fourth quarter quarterback.
Kevin, hold on a second, guys. I'm sorry, Kevin. What am I saying about throwing him away? When have I said that?
I'm not backing up.
I'm not bad. No, I know. No, but Kevin's making stuff up here, which is not true. I'm not talking about anything about throwing him away. I'm talking facts about today's football game. And if you can't see it, then you're blind. I'm not saying anything about throwing him away. He's been great this year. He's done great. He's been consistently well. Today has not been consistently good. And it's not on Tua. I'm saying it's the whole football team, because if Evan would have came on after today's game and said, which he wasn't because he's on the Tua bandwagon, if he would have came on and said, oh, we lost that game because of Tua, I would have said, no, that was an all-around team loss. That was an all-around team loss, all around.
I didn't say Bridgewater was the main reason why we lost.
Yes,
I said he was a contributor. I said he caused.
Did he not? Am I wrong? Was he saying that?
I said.
Thank you.
I said no. Was he the only reason why we lost? No, the offense. I said the offensive line was a main reason. I want Dave to speak. With the offensive line was one of the main reasons why we lost. But with the 3 and outs that we had, the way Tua, the team was rallying around Tua the last 3 games. There was a sense there that there was a confidence there that we hadn't seen in a very long time. And in the third quarter, fourth quarter of the previous 3 games, they were behind Tua. Teddy, on his first drive in the second half, literally threw almost 3 picks. He literally bombed the ball. Literally, I forget who was almost caught it.
Taking a chance. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying that he is who he is. The problem, my only concern is that Tua has a floor and is looking to go up. Teddy, we already know what Teddy is.
Teddy's a backup quarterback.
He's a backup
quarterback.
Yes. So, but then okay. If you want me to take it back, blame McDaniel, blame Darrell Bevel, because he was too big for his britches for some of those throws. He made a beautiful pass to Tyreek Hill, but some of the throws he was doing, I don't understand it.
The last drive where he threw a pick, man, I'll be honest, I'm looking at it right now. We had 5. We were running the ball. Actually, one of them we had 25 yards with Mostert, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's just run it down there, eat the clock up, and score and win the game.
Play calling changed a lot.
Yeah, well, it did change, and that's why I'm like sitting here like, what the hell? Why?
Yeah, play calling was awful.
Why didn't you just keep running the ball? Like, I would have kept running the fucking ball. Like, in my mind and in my heart, right then when I'm watching, I'm like, we're going to keep running the ball right here. McDaniels is going to dial them up and maybe sprinkle in a pass somewhere that they don't see. But it didn't work that way. Then he tried to make that play to, I think it says Waddle, and it was incomplete, and it came right off of his hands. That would have been a first down. And then the interception, which is, I'm telling you right now, bro, I'm going to go back and look at it again. I don't want to say anything right there, but Teddy really, he really screwed the pooch on that last play. But hey, it ain't all on Teddy, like Bobby said. It's really not. Like from the beginning of the night, man, I noticed they were just a step slow, a step late. Like everything seemed to just a hair of a second slow, even from blocking and protection slides.
It's just
Everything
easy.
was.
Justin, you're all right on the money, brother. And Dave, I'm gonna get to you right now, man, as an
You're good.
unbiased person and Huddle Up and Wait co-host for the network, Finstall Sports. But Justin, you're hitting it right on the money. At the end, it was just an all-around team flop. All-around team flop,
It was a
and
flop.
it was a flop. From
They were not going to. The game drastically changed when he got injured. I don't think the game was going to.
I agree with that.
It would not have been a
The
27
game
to
drastically
15
changed because the
loss.
deflation, the fans, with Tua, first off, this whole year, when it looked like when you go to the Patriots game and you think Patriots could come back, not one time did we, any fan, or at least me, you guys, I know for believe we were going to lose that football game. You believe that we were going to win. The Baltimore game, halftime, you're going, oh my God, here we go again. And all of a sudden, the Dolphins come all the way back, and like we say, give Tua his flowers, 6 touchdowns. It was amazing. The third game with Buffalo, we were in it till the end, and we fought it, and they did the plays to win. This one, there was a different feeling about this football game as you were watching it. The only difference between this football, what you're saying, is that what I noticed was that the team, you could just see the faces of the team grow long. To me, it looked like it was the same old, but the team, they all think they still can have a chance to win. But when Tua was out, that changed. Play calling became different. Play calling became different.
My point. They believe in Tua. They don't believe in Teddy.
Evan. Teddy is a backup quarterback.
He wasn't last year. He wasn't the year before.
Doesn't matter. He is right now, and that's why he is a backup quarterback. Same thing with Skylar Thompson.
The highest paid backup
people
quarterback.
calling for Skylar Thompson, and I'm a huge fan of Skylar Thompson. 7th-round pick, playing like he should be higher, but he's the backup quarterback for a reason until he's not. Teddy's a backup. Teddy came in, and you're talking about athleticism. You're going crazy for a spin around here and there. Teddy Bridgewater did a great spin around and avoided the sack.
Nice play, man.
Yeah, he was doing great all field, but you're not calling that. Dave, unbiased opinion, tell me what you're thinking. Respond to what we're talking about.
I'm going to go ahead and jump right in and say, this isn't a shot to you or anything. I'm just saying, but you know how many teams would kill to have a quarterback like Teddy as a backup to be able to come in and operate an offense and give you a chance at least within 2 minutes where you guys were when he did throw the interception. You guys were at least within a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And a lot of teams can't say that. And I would take a Teddy Bridgewater right now as a Packers fan over Jordan Love. I'm not a fan of Love, never was. I'll take Teddy all day long as a backup quarterback. Second is I don't think a lot of people were looking at the Bengals front 7 as a problem. People got to remember this is a Super Bowl contending team last year with Hendrickson, Hubbard, Hill in the middle, just pounding offensive lines last year, and that was a huge factor that people kind of overlooked. Hendrickson is a heck of a pass rusher. Hubbard is a guy that's going to hold the edge on the runs. And that's the thing is when you get a team that's like playing for their season on the line, the Dolphins are 3-0, and that's a term I'm going to use is they got complacent. They just beat the Bills. Oh, we just beat our division rival.
Yep.
Let's relax. We're playing the Bengals. Fair. And I'm not saying they overlooked them, but it's just the fact where you guys said it was off a tick on everything. It means they weren't paying attention to the fine
complacency.
Yeah, and when you come off of playing a division rival and the one that's favored to go in the Super Bowl, it makes you think like, oh, man, all right, we're going to start smelling ourselves a little bit more. All right, that's what they did. That's what Aaron Rodgers said last year when they got in that playoff game. We smelled ourselves too much, meaning they caught their own scent. They thought they were this and that.
Smelled ourselves.
It's what he said in the interview after the 49ers game. It says, we smelled ourselves too much at home, and we couldn't handle it. So I think that the Bengals, this is with their season-changing game right here, because if I just told you this before we went on, and I think the Bengals, if they went 1-3 in this division in AFC North, they wouldn't have been able to recover from that, except possibly a wild card. With the Ravens going to be surging, the Browns was still winning, going along and getting Deshaun Watson back later in the season. They needed this win, and the Dolphins, even if Tua was in. Justin said it. You said it perfect. They were a tick off on everything. So even with Tua, Teddy, what would have happened with the offensive line crumbling no matter who was behind center?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. And then the injuries in the secondary. This is still Joe Burrow. This is still Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase.
I know.
And now you got Hayden Hurst, a legitimate tight end for Cincinnati. And I'm not hyping up Cincinnati, folks. I'm just trying to say the fact that this is a Super Bowl contending team still from last year, and
It's true.
They just corrected their season with this type of win, taking down one of the undefeated teams last left in the NFL. So,
And I will say this, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dave, but I
No,
will
you're
say
okay.
this for even Dolphin fans and everyone tuning in. Thank you, whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I appreciate you watching the post game show, Finstock Sport. Honestly, we're down, and you know, even if to me, even if Miami lost this football game, but Dolphins, does that mean the Dolphins are out? Does that mean that they're pretenders? Absolutely not. In my opinion, they're not pretenders. They are still contenders. The big difference here in this football game right now is that their starting quarterback is out, and we don't know for how long when until we hear the report. That's the big difference here. But Miami lost to a very good football team, despite the start, as David's saying. This is a Super Bowl team from last year. They beat a Super Bowl contending team in Buffalo last week, and that wasn't a pretend game. That was a real win, a definitive win. But as Justin had brought up, as I brought up earlier in the week, despite us picking the Dolphins to win, that there was a chance the Dolphins could lose this football game because of the fight that they did with Buffalo on Sunday. And then, again, Bowleg, Kevin, everyone tuning in, thank you. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Justin, let's talk about the run game here.
Can I add one more thing?
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to add on the traveling too. Cincinnati got to go home, rest. Miami had to travel too on a short week after winning that big high. So
I have an important question then.
The energy.
I want to not forget before you ask him that question. I don't know about you, but the NFL is such a violent sport to begin with. We love it. We're passionate about it. These Thursday night games, they've never been great. And for the safety of the league, they need to reconsider these Thursday night games. I understand they're getting a fortune of money from Prime. And I think it's all about ratings. But to go on 4 days, because I'm reading what McDaniel said, and they said they follow protocol, and I believe what McDaniel's saying. I think that maybe this is just an exacerbated injury. It was a really rough hit, but for the safety of the players, look what happened to Howard. Look what happened to Waddle. Like, these are people who literally are warriors. They want to play. But instead of having, like, they were literally running on they were basically, today was a Sunday. Yesterday was a Saturday. And a Friday, Saturday. Tuesday was a Tuesday, Wednesday. It's literally, you're expecting people who normally have time to do
weather
that.
factors too, hot and humid, straight to chilly and cold. That's going to affect your muscles inside.
Let me just say this very quick, guys, because McDaniel's being interviewed. I don't know, Evan, if that's what you're
done already.
Yeah, he said Tua was cleared. It was standard operating procedure. That's why the NFL has these protocols. There is an independent specialist that specializes in brain matter. Concussion protocol is very strict. We don't mess with this. Asked if he could say with 100% certainty that Tua didn't have a head injury Sunday, McDaniel said yes, he can say that. Citing independent doctor who specializes in this. People don't stray. We don't mess with that. As long as I'm the head coach, that will never be an issue. You know this is going to be investigated. But let me – I was going to talk about the run game, but Justin – let me ask you about this very quick. That hit on Tua, because there are some people that thought it was, that was unnecessary. We can talk about holding the ball too long. We can talk about offensive line. What did you think of that hit when he slammed Tua down like that in that scary situation? Was it dirty?
No, I don't really think it was a dirty play, and I think that Tua Tului, or whatever his name is, Tua Tului, I don't think he had no malice intended on the play and trying to hurt Tua. I'm sure he'll reach out to him and they'll talk about it man to man about it. I think it just happened so fast that he slammed him, down to the ground. I mean, it whipped his head down to the ground. It was a violent hit. Like Evan said, this is a violent sport that we all love, but you'd like to see a little bit more protection for the players by them not even playing on a Thursday night. Honestly, I think we shouldn't have these games like this. I know money's involved. I know everybody wants to get rich. I know that that's the key here, but these are people's lives that you're putting at stake out there each and every day that they go out there, each and every snap, in fact, that they go out there, and they're putting their lives on the line for your entertainment. So if you really think that the Thursday night football is more important than us just playing the game on Sundays, then I guess we could keep the games the way we have them. But the hit, I don't think it was dirty in any which way. I think it was just a hard football play, a hard hit. His head whipped off the ground. That's what really caused him
Just
to.
scary, man.
Yeah, it was really scary. In
I
fact,
was so nervous.
when it first happened and his fingers like started to do like this, I was like, "Oh, dude, he broke a finger. He
I
dislocated
thought
a
at first
finger."
it was a broken
that
finger.
was
I
the
think
mummy arms they get when fighters get knocked out. That's exactly what it is.
I figured it out after I went and looked at it.
Call it.
I'm like, "Oh,
It's
man."
called fencing. That's what they call
fencing,
it.
and I had that somewhere. I did pull that up. Thank you, Evan.
It's definitely scary. That's for sure.
Fencing, when a person experiences an impact that's strong enough to cause traumatic brain injury, TBI, such as a concussion, their arms often go into an unnatural position. This position, forearms extended or flexed, as Dave just brought up, usually in the air, follows the impact and is known as the fencing response position. It lasts up to several seconds. The fencing response is often seen when a player is knocked down or knocked out during full contact athletic competitions such as football, martial arts, boxing, rugby, and hockey.
So they'll look at it again.
They'll look at it.
Oh, sorry about that. But real quick before you like we were already talking about, they were off all night. You know, like a tick here and there, right? The very first drive of the game, they ended up kicking a field goal right there when it hit Chase Edmonds in the back of the hand. It could have been a touchdown. That's 4 points right there. I mean, there's no way we would have won the game, but that is still like showing you an example of them being off.
They left points on the field.
They left
we
points
talked
on
about
the field.
that as well. We talked about that as well.
Because Cincinnati did play a good game. Cincinnati did not play a good game.
No, they did.
They were not good.
That's the point. You left points on the field. You think about that missed field goal, the missed field goal, the blocked field goal.
Yep, that's
the
3 more
touchdown.
points.
You know what I'm saying? There were missed points on the field.
So that's 7 points right there.
Yeah, and think about it. If those 2 field goals, that would have helped. You know, but woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? I mean,
exactly.
But still, you look at that. The running game, Evan. You talked about it a little earlier. Do you think that running game was at 69 yards? I believe that was Raheem.
I think it's the play calling. I'm not a fan right now. I've noticed it tonight.
85 total yards. But do you think that's because 11 yards for Teddy, 6 for Chase after 5 attempts, -1 for Tyreek, and then Raheem with the most with 69 on 15 attempts? Do you think that was because of the injury, or do you think that's a sign of what Miami's trying to do? Do you think we'll see that?
I think they tried to do it tonight. I think the plan was to use more of a balanced attack tonight. But what I'm starting to notice, what I noticed it tonight, is Mostert had some big runs. Like a lot of his runs were more extended runs. So the issue is that for some reason on first down, the reads of the reads that the offensive line is able to present to the defensive line and to the edge rushers is one presentation. But then what McDaniel kept on doing is that he kept on going back to the well a few too many times, and then Hubbard would crush you on it. And Greg Little looked like a little boy. Armstead looked like a little boy. And that was the problem, is that I think it did change in the second half. I believe that very often when they were trying to utilize the run game, if it didn't work on first down, there was a play call for Tua to throw the ball. Here, if the running game would work, they would then give another running play. They weren't mixing up the plays enough, and what they were sort of doing is similar to what Flo used to do, which was run on first down, run on second down, throw on third. That's what they were doing very often, and that caused a lot of problems. But also what it showed tonight is that the offensive line right now is a little gassed, because Little looked great a couple games ago. Eichenberg has been not great all year. Williams was fine. Hunt was fine. But our 2 edge tackles, and like you made a good point, the moment Armstead had to adjust to Tua to Teddy being his blind side, he completely he completely changed how he played his game. So the running game didn't adjust because they were kerfuffled. They didn't know how to adjust to having Teddy in there. And what I think it showed is, and I'm just going to use it as a general rule, and you can read what they're writing, what all the players are saying at the end of the game, even Teddy. Tua has been their leader. There's been a focus since McDaniel got there that Tua is their leader, and that he was never given that chance to lead. Like, always the frustration I've had with Tua was never about his gameplay. It's the fact that he led a national championship team. He's been a leader of men. He was under a coach who's won 8 national championships. He's been molded to be able to be a leader of men, and he was finally given that opportunity. And like you said, which I agree, they lost their leader. They lost their captain. And trust me, and Dave knows this better than anybody. because he's experienced it. No Aaron Rodgers. What happens to Green Bay? No Tom Brady. Look at New England.
Flynn and go to the playoffs still. Sorry.
Yeah, whatever. But we have it, Patrick. Look at New England without Brady. When you look at Patrick Mahomes, if he wasn't there, Lamar Jackson, if he wasn't there, like if you lose your star player or the player you believe is the person who's leading you somewhere,
your starting quarterback, your starting.
But you talked about a quarterback away, and you just want to see consistency. And the one thing about tonight is it may have been an off night, but it was only the second quarter. And as we know, the first half of the Dolphins games have not been great anyways. They've always come back in the second half, and as long as they've kept it close in the first half, they're able to sustain that and come out firing. That's why I believe, whether they were playing bad or not, they had a certain sense of chemistry there. And if Tua would have just got injured with a leg injury, and it wouldn't have been this dramatic injury, I don't think it would have changed anything. Like I said, he's a backup, but he's supposed to be he's the highest paid backup in the league. He's been the starting quarterback on 2 previous years for 2 previous teams, so other 2 teams also believed he was capable. And when he came in tonight, as an experienced backup, that's also my frustration. Maybe he was winded by Tua, but he's an experienced backup who's been in the league a long time, and he had a lead. And with the defense couldn't, and a lot of what he did with the 3 and outs and not being able to sustain plays, long drives, 3 and outs for an experienced quarterback, that was disappointing to me. Is he the only reason why we lost? I'll take it back. He wasn't the only reason why we lost, but the fact of the matter is that the play calling, because it was Teddy Bridgewater, made it a very conservative game where they're willing to settle for simple plays and very monotonous plays and very 2021 plays.
They had to
we
dumb
remember
it down.
this, Bobby, last year we were watching Flo call plays with and McDaniel. I thought he was turning into Eric Studsville and George Gossey for a few minutes. There were 2 with McDaniel a quarter
Again, even if Tua is in there, that was going to be a long football game. And you're right. The Miami has been starting slow and ending hot and whatever. However, that is a flaw in my opinion as well, because you need to be in all 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, special teams. First, second, third quarter, fourth quarter. You need to be starting hot. And Miami hasn't been doing that. And you might be right, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. We're not psychic. We can't see what would have happened. I'm just telling you, as I felt as I was watching that football game, it was a different feeling the past 3 games. The silver lining here, first off, the main thing here is that Tua has left the hospital. He's traveling back with the team. That's great news. More than likely, I'm just researching here, players who suffer concussion, especially now that the heat is on Miami. Right now Miami's getting slammed on social media.
He ain't playing versus the Jets.
Shame on them. By the way, people should be ashamed of themselves, because the NFL, independent neurologist from the NFL who has no association to any team, cleared Tua. It's not the Miami Dolphins who have the right to clear Tua. In any sport, whether it's hockey, hockey's another sport where I'm very connected into the Montreal Canadiens in hockey. There are independent doctors, there are spotters at every single sporting event in hockey and in football. No player, they go into the tent, they go into the dressing room. No team doctor has the right to clear a player from concussion protocol or any type of head injury. The only person who can do it is an independent person from the NFL. So
but we know that this is going to be a talking point tomorrow on ESPN and NFL Network.
Clickbait, that's clickbait artists.
They're going to talk, and you're right, and that's been said on here about NFL, that the NFL is an independent person, blah, blah, blah. There's team doctors. We talked about this as well, Justin and Evan, that a few days ago, pre-show, whatever. Should Tua play this football game? If cleared, yes. But hindsight now, do we still think he should have played this damn football game?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So
it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
We know.
It's not on him.
So 1.5 games usually for someone who suffers a concussion. Even if he feels better tomorrow, I think Miami is going to hold him out. They're going to hold him out. Say again?
It wasn't a concussion. So you want to know what? Fire Goodell or blame the NFL, because the NFL, the NFL has strict protocols in place, and if they fumbled the ball,
then it's on them.
Okay, so today is a concussion. They've said that already. He's been concussed.
He's
Okay.
been diagnosed. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So yes, it is a concussion. Getting back to what I was saying, usually miss about 1.5 game. So really, like Justin says, the Jets game is obviously off the table.
It's off.
That may be a thing because even though the Jets even though I think they're 1-3 now, or 1-2, are they 1-3 or 1-2? Either
They're
way,
1-2.
thank
One
you.
or two.
Even with Teddy at quarterback, when you have someone like Tyreek and Jalen and et cetera, it's going to be a tough game just because of where Miami is mentally. But I think Miami still has a chance against the Jets, even with Teddy at quarterback. But we don't. Do we expect just a game out, or do we expect a couple games out?
Can I answer
Yes.
something real quick?
Yes, sir.
Didn't mean to ahead of everyone, but I just want to point out McDaniels, while in San Francisco, has been in this situation before. He has high grade weapons. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, not that guy. He is a game manager. He can do that with Teddy. Teddy's a game managing QB. You have the high grade weapons here. You have the high grade running system. Next week should be a lot better game plan.
You don't have the old. You don't have the old one.
Huh?
We don't have the O-line.
San Francisco.
San Francisco had some shaky offensive lines the last couple of years, and they still were able to produce. If you go look, they dropped it. You had Trent Williams out for a good bit last year. You had Brunskill out last year, and they had their center out last year, and they still were one of the top 5 rushing teams in the NFL last year. I expect next week for Miami, McDaniels is going to prepare something for Bridgewater along the lines of Jimmy G, hit the quick slants. Don't try and be a hero. Just let the running game do the work for you. And that's why I believe he has experience in this field before, prior to San Francisco.
But they interviewed Teddy, and they said that they said to him before the game that he prepared for this game as if he potentially could start. So if he had a game plan for Teddy, they didn't very much game plan for him. So as Bobby said,
I agree. They crapped the bet on this, and
they did not play Colin well.
Having a week to now where you don't know which quarterback's going to start, if you're going to game plan,
now
exactly, you're clearing away.
Exactly. 100% agree with that.
I want to just also make a very quick point. I don't care what anybody. One thing I will learn is we have now found that we haven't had an elite player since Dan Marino. Very quietly, the star of this game was Tyreek Hill. The man is just does what he needs to do. And the man just never gave up. Like literally, even in the
Harrison. Sorry, I'm laughing at Harrison's comment, not what we're talking about. I apologize.
I heard what he said, but by the way, I wouldn't have given him up anyways. By the way, who's 3-0? By the way, I just want to remind everyone who's undefeated in our ESPN fantasy draft. So let's just remind and who was mocked the most during that draft while I was playing.
True.
And I was playing. Dave, you'll appreciate this. During our ESPN draft, I think you were there too because you were working. I was playing a softball game while doing my draft. So talk about that. So and I'm 3-0. So don't complain there. So Harrison, I'll trade you him. 1 is 3-0. Different division doesn't count. I don't count the NFC. I count the AFC. But no. Honestly, right now the only fear I have is that the next 2 weeks is going to feel like we're now getting back to that point where we need to win 17-10 games and 21 to 10 games and not air attack. And Teddy had a beautiful throw today, but they better find. They're just really gonna have to go back to the drawing board. Like you said, I hope he's as creative as. I hope that Teddy can do what Jimmy G does, but Jimmy G doesn't look that great without McDaniel this year. If you look at how he's played the first 2 games, so maybe McDaniel is a whiz that he can figure this out. Today, as Bobby said, it deflated them, but I don't think they were prepared. I think maybe
Tyreek. Can I say something? I'm sorry, because Tyreek said at certain points in the second half, Dolphin players were asking for updates on Tua. Said multiple times their primary focus
was on
Tua's
field.
health. Their mind wasn't a game, and that was what we're talking about. There was so much more factors at the second half. The first half, again, like I said, and you were saying, first half they start slow. Second half they get hot, but that was my point. First half they were slow. There was this. It just did not look like they were in it. And you might be right. Second half, maybe. But to me, that is an issue. Miami needs to start faster. They need to be better. But again, they were coming off a very tough football game in Buffalo, which impacted them. And then, of course, this happens. Barry Jackson writes, independent neurologist cleared him last week. If you think he shouldn't have played, fine. It's okay to have an opinion. It's another to insist you know more than the doctors who examined him and insist tonight was a result of last Sunday. Social media has created so many experts, quote unquote. So,
It's called
you know,
clickbait artists. That's what people want. They want clicks.
yeah. And so, you know, it's going to be talked about all week.
Mm-hmm.
Should he have played? Did Miami hide something? You know, they're gonna ignore that whole unless somebody says that independent neurologist thing. It's something's gonna be somebody's gonna get fired for this. But anyway, it's a lot of emotions right now. Not just because it's not about a loss. Because again, you know, we discussed that Heart say a win, but we knew this was gonna be a tough football game. We would have discussed all the flaws, of course. But the biggest thing here that deflates fans right now is your starting quarterback was hurt in a scary situation. Thank God he's going home. Thank God, he's out of the hospital. Take this long week off, take the game off. Hopefully with Tyreek, their head is in the game next week. That's going to be important. That's the other thing too. You could have Teddy, you could have Rosen, you could have whoever. If you have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, in my opinion, obviously those guys aren't on Tua's level, but if you have those guys, you should be able to make football plays. And like Dave was bringing up, the Jimmy G situation, short outs, 15, 10 yards in the corners, allow them to make plays. And look, even though that pass wasn't perfect, it did fall into Tyreek's hands, that bomb, and Tyreek came down with it, which was an amazing play. That's why you get players like Tyreek Hill. That's why I don't think the season is over or none of that crap.
Still 3-1.
The 3
yeah,
and
we're
1.
fine.
That's the thing. If Miami would have lost, if Tua would have been healthy and Miami lost this game, it would have been the same thing. We're only 3-1, but look at what Miami has done in these 3 games. And the problem is we have not had a complete football game yet. Miami has not played well on all 3 phases: special teams, offense, and defense. And obviously, as Evan has pointed out, they've started slow in the first half. They need to change that. That's a McDaniel thing. This is the first knock on McDaniel in regards of, as Evan was pointing out, the playbook. You need to be prepared for a situation where your quarterback goes down. This is the first time. He's a rookie coach. He's done great. He's been above expectations, in my opinion. And I believe he will be ready come Sunday next week with the Jets, with Teddy Bridgewater as the starting quarterback. Dave, any final thoughts, any responses, brother, before we close it out?
I'm just going to end off what I said. Miami's still 3-1. You guys still have a hell of a defense. There's still weapons to be had on that offense. And guess what? It's still way before the trade deadline. There's still good offensive linemen out there on the free agent market. It's ridiculously mind-blowing to know how many free agents are still on the I mean, Mike Gesicki can also be a big part of the offense that keeps this thing stable going down.
How's this kid?
I'm just saying, I think he could be valuable to Teddy. Obviously, Teddy wanted to go to him. I mean, he made a bad pass, but he likes Mike Gesicki. So there's a little connection there. So that may be a thing down the road here in the next week or two. The Dolphins, I know it's a rough night. I get it. Tua is healthy, but you're going to have to eat a couple weeks possibly without him. I think y'all be all right, and I think you'll definitely still be in the shot to compete in the NFC or AFC East with the Bills.
Justin, final thoughts?
Oh man, you know what? Before we started this whole season, if I would have told you guys we'd be 3-1 after this game, I'm pretty sure we all would have took it. Just like Dave said, we're 3-1 still. We still got a good football team. We still got a lot of games left to play, a lot of football left still to play, you guys. There's a ton of it. But I'll be honest, I'm gonna level with you. I'm gonna level for all our viewers out there. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that like button. But honestly, we need to get ready to be prepared to play these next couple games. I think 2 games without Tua. I think we're going to need to play the Jets without Tua, and I think we're going to need to play the Vikings without Tua. So we need Teddy to win at least both of them. We want both. But honestly, I'll take a split if I have to. After that, then we go into a road trip at Detroit and at Chicago. I want Tua ready to play by then. I don't think anybody should be hanging their head about this, feeling bad. Oh, we're down our quarterback. You know what? He's going home with the team, you guys. He's traveling back. He's still part of our squad. He's going to be just fine. The Dolphins are going to be just fine. It's crazy because in my heart of hearts, when I knew we were dead in the water, dead fish after Teddy threw that pick, I was like, well, that's the game right there, In my head, though, I'm saying it to myself, like, we were complacent all night, like David talked about earlier, brought it up with the complacency. We were complacent all night. We honestly weren't going to win the game no matter what. It just wasn't our night. Honestly, I'm kind of relieved in a little bit of a way because I want to get this crap out of the way now so we can get on to the rest of our season, get on a roll, keep stacking up some wins because we're getting to a favorable part of the schedule. We're going to be just fine. So let's just get through these next 10 days, move on to the Jets, and move on to playing some football. That's it.
Just enjoy the humble pie and just roll on the next week.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
All you
let's all of us Dolphin fans just take our L and let's just move on. Take your L, move on. That's it.
Evan, should we take our L and move on? Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I'm not upset about the loss. People lose football games. Mm-hmm. The only final thought I have, and is going to be my concern, will be tomorrow. If these clickbait artists, whether you're Keyshawn Johnson, Stephen A. Smith, Mike Floro, Chris Sims, if these guys come on the shows tomorrow and say one negative thing about the Miami Dolphins and the organization and what they might have done wrong when it was an NFL decision, if they want to blame the NFL. If they're going to target Tua because he's glass or what, I will go on Twitter, and probably Twitter's going to throw me off Twitter because literally – this was not Tua's fault. This was not the Miami Dolphins' fault. This happens in football. And if you're going to blame anybody, blame the NFL for having Thursday night games. Blame the NFL if they didn't have the right protocols in place, and maybe they have to reassess their safety protocols. I don't know. But all to say is that what people are doing now, blaming the Dolphins, people have the audacity to blame Tua for this. You want to know what? It's a game of football. It's supposed to be fun. And we're doing this because it's supposed to be fun. And that's why we're here. And in the end, it's football. We lose. And for me, the Miami Dolphins were so used to losing that a loss doesn't affect me much. It's more just the reasons why we lose that sometimes get to me. And that's life. So we lost a football game. If I predicted 3-1 after 4 games. It wasn't the 3-1 of who I was going to lose that we predicted. I knew this would be a sort of like a trap game because of where we had to go and how we had to play. But for me, my number one frustration is the fact that I don't know if you all disagree. I'm noticing this more in watching all the stuff just to gather thoughts is that no one believes in this team and in the realm of the media. And tomorrow, and with everything that went on with Ross and everything that's going on over the last couple of years, like when are we going to catch a break? And tomorrow, it should be about they should only be talking about the health of Tua and the camaraderie of the football team, and not about what the team might have done wrong and what Tua might have done wrong, or Tua's not strong enough. Everyone who thinks that can go to hell. It's about a human being. It's about someone's health. It's about a game that we all love to watch, that these people love to play, and that's all that should matter. Not your clicks, not your stupid opinions about nonsense and garbage.
All right. Dolphins fall 27-15. Tua's out after a scary injury. It's been diagnosed with a concussion. Looks to be out. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but it may more than likely is out that Jets game coming up on next Sunday. As Tamara has said, let's offer our thoughts to all our neighbors in Florida who lost so much in that hurricane in Fort Myers and so forth. Very scary.
Harrison. What a schmuck.
What did Harrison say?
Go Jets.
You just said you don't hate the Jets much. You said you hate the Bengals more.
Why am I cheering for the Jets against the Dolphins?
You got Justin off the screen. Damn it, Harrison, you dick. Yeah. And that's going to be scary too. I mean, that was scary. Ralph saying that about Tua. I get that with that situation. That is scary with 2 concussions. If that last Sunday was a concussion, even though McDaniel says he's not, and I don't think McDaniel is lying that he doesn't believe it is, but today was. It is scary to see someone like that. I'll let you know y'all want sympathy. Whoever that is. I don't know what he's talking about. If you want to clarify what you're talking about, Jaw17, we appreciate you watching. But anyway, no one's saying anything about sympathy. We're talking about Tua. Back to what we were talking about. Hopefully Tua gets better. We'll see as the week goes on exactly how Miami prepares. Justin's back. Let me get this in here before we close it out. We'll see how they prepare for the New York Jets next Sunday. Jets play this Sunday. I don't have that game in front of me here. But I expect McDaniel. I trust McDaniel, but prepare the playbook to play to Teddy's strengths, to the offensive strengths. We have too many weapons to lose to the Jets. So those are my final thoughts. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Dave, brother, I appreciate you for coming on, taking your time. Justin, Evan, I know Evan is, I mean, all Dolphins fans are.
He's a more beautiful Brett Lagasse. That's all that he is.
Yeah.
It's because I have hair.
That's right.
No, he wears a hat to hide his beautiful hair that he doesn't have.
No, there ain't no hair underneath.
There ain't no hair there. Smash, guys, thank you so much. Tomorrow we got Huddle Up and Wait. They're obviously going to be talking. I'm sure they're talking this. They got who else is going to be on there? Do you have a guest tomorrow? Lori Fitzpatrick.
Yes, Lori's coming on.
Lori's coming on.
Man, we need to give some props to her about some Jacksonville Jaguars. She told us to watch out, and they are 2-1 and rolling.
Yeah, Huddle Up and Wait. If you guys have not seen it, smash that like, subscribe button. They talk the whole NFL. And of course, though, I'm sure this will be a big story tomorrow, and they're going to talk about much else.
Yes.
And then of course we got Digging in the Trenches Saturday. Very excited. We got Ryan Reynolds. Justin, you want to fill people in on that?
Ryan Roberts.
Ryan Roberts.
Yeah,
I was about to say, you guys got Deadpool?
Yeah, it's Ryan Roberts from Rise and Draft. We're gonna
Awesome
have,
guy.
yeah, he's awesome, man. We're gonna have him on, talk some college football, talk some college prospects, pick his brain a little bit about what's going on the college front. Just shoot the shit a little bit. Talk some ball.
Awesome. All right, and then of course you got Finn's Talk today on Saturday. We'll talk with Hank, and then you got Bandwagon on Tuesday. That's Evan. Evan's gonna have a little while to deflate, and then he'll come back. But guys, until then, thank you all so much for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. We will see you next Sunday after the Jets game, hopefully celebrating a victory. Until then, like, subscribe, fins up.
Peace out.